Hello, all of my math masters and problem solvers and parents. Um, I am just going to take a few minutes to try to go over a couple of different things that we have learned in class, just to give you all a reference to be able to refer back to um, at any given point in time. Now, for my students, this is information that you all should have recorded in your journals. But if by chance you have not recorded it in your journals, this is another opportunity to do so. And that gives you another resource to go back and study so that you can get these things embedded in your mind, embedded in your spirit, and be the great mathematicians that you are. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been learning about area, and we have learned a good bit. We've learned how to find area using counting by counting square units. We've also learned how to find the area by using formulas. So today we're just going to kind of start at the basic, or this video is just going to kind of touch on the basics, and then each video after we'll just kind of build off of that because I don't want to open all of the video. So to start off, area. What is area? Many of you were able to tell me that area is the inside or the space inside of a shape. What do I mean by that? So here's an example. If you think about ordering a pizza, and if you order a pizza, let's use Lido's because Lido's pizzas are squares or rectangles. If I open the box and I take a pencil and I trace the outside of the whole pizza, that is what I know as the perimeter of the pizza. But if I wanted to know, oh, what about the part that has like all the toppings, everything on the inside of the crust per se? That is what we know as the area. So the inside of the space is what is the area. Okay, go with that? Cool. Here's what we know. We know that we can draw that area is measured in square units. And what that looks like is kind of what's behind me. What's behind me is first and foremost, y'all know Miss Rainey knows how to draw real well, so I'm gonna give some snaps for my good drawings. So what we have first is a square. If you look at graph paper, you see a whole bunch of little squares. And those little squares are what we call square units. So one square is equal to one square unit. Typically, when we are trying to find the area of something, a lot of times there's a whole lot of there's the shape drawn, and then there's a bunch of squares in the middle of the shape. And that is to allow us to count each square unit to be able to figure out what is our area. Okay? Now, if I take this square and I cut it in half, I get two rectangles. I mean, not rectangles, I'm sorry, two triangles. I get two triangles, right? And if I get two triangles, what I'm saying is two triangles is equivalent to one square unit. Two triangles is the same thing as saying one square unit because all I did was I took the square unit and I cut it in half and made two triangles. So still one square unit, just in half. Well, what if I only want one of the halves? Then one of the halves, and I ask you, well, how much, um, what does that equate to? What does one half of the triangle or one triangle equate to? Or what does one half of the square equate to? What you should be able to tell me that a triangle is equivalent or is equal to one half square unit. So let's just review that part really, really fast. So one square is one square unit, one whole square is one square unit. If I take that square and break it in half, I get two triangles. Two triangles is also a square unit, right? Because it's still a square, it's still a square, I just broke it in half. And then if I decide, well, I don't want both of the triangles, I only want one, but I want to know what that is equal to, One triangle, in this particular case, is equivalent to half a square unit. So one square unit. Two triangles, one square unit. Half a triangle is half a square unit, or a half a square. All right. Now when we use these to find, sometimes we have to pull things apart, move them around to get what we're trying to get to. And we use some terms in order to do that. First, you see the term compose. Compose simply means put it together. That's it. And then at the bottom, you see the word recompose. Well, they mean the same thing. Put them together. The reason recompose comes into play is because of our second one, decompose. Decompose is when we take a shape and we pull it apart or we break it apart. So, like for instance, when we took this one square unit and cut it in half and broke it apart into two triangles, that is what we call decomposing. But every now and then, I might need to take these two triangles and put them back together. That is when we use the term recompose or compose. Okay? And then rearrange. Rearrange is pretty cut and dry, is when we take something and move it from one space to another. So as a review, compose, we put it together. Recompose, we put it together. Decompose, we pull it or break it apart. And rearrange, just move it around. All right, join me in our next video for our continued lesson on area.